गणादिसेवितं कवित्थजम्भोफल सार भक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वर पादपङ्कजम् नमः नमः श्रीमहागणपते नमः अविघ्नमस्तु श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः नान्मुखादि मूर्तित्रयपूजितं नारदादिमुनिवृन्द सेवितं नमः नमः श्रीमहागणपते नमः अविघ्नमस्तु श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः.
I now call upon the head girl, K. Rajashri Rao, to present the welcome note.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the headmaster, staff, and pupils of the Lawrence School Lovedale, I welcome you to the workshop on theme Climate Change and the Environment, conducted by the De Vecchi Center for Climate Change of Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, in association with Talentspire and the Lawrence School Lovedale. The Indian Institute of Science is a public institute for research and higher education in science, engineering, design, and management. It is a premier scientific research institute in India and has been ranked first in the university and overall category for the last 3 consecutive years in the NIRF rankings by the Government of India. Located in Bangalore, India, IISc was established in 1909 with active support from Jamshedji Tata and Krishnaraj Vadiyar IV, and thus is also locally known as the Tata Institute. It was granted the deemed university status in 1958. Talentspire is a collective of 200 plus senior academicians, research scholars, and technologists formed under the patronage of Padma Vibhushan Dr. G. Madhavan Nair, former chairman of ISRO, with the mission to promote holistic learning of science among students. As part of their mission, apart from organizing national-level science events, they have also been working for the past 3 years on creating a holistic learning solution for science with several hundred videos, a scientifically designed assessment solution, and other resources. The Lawrence School Lovedale is an autonomous premier residential public school established in 1858 and is under the Ministry of Human Resource Development post-independence. Our school provides the environment and resources for an all-round development of the individual in a secular and cosmopolitan culture. The school hosts the event realizing the importance of motivating the young generation to take proactive action on climate change and related challenges. Professor J. Srinivas and Professor Sk Satish of the De Vecchi Center for Climate Change will lead the sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajashri. May I request the headmaster, Mr. K. Prabhakaran, to say a few words in introduction.
Good morning. Distinguished scientist, Professor J. Srinivasan from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, Professor Sk Satish, Chairman and and Professor, Center for Atmospheric and Oceanic Studies, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Professor Jaykumar and other dignitaries from Talent Sphere, guests, students, and my fellow teachers. Floods, droughts, landslides, cyclones, shrinking water resources, melting glaciers, dying rivers. These are just some of the features of life of this planet today. The fact is that these horrific occurrences have become increasingly common in the past few years. An important aspect of climate change is an increase in the frequency of extreme weather conditions. These extreme fluctuations of weather we're witnessing today have left behind a trail of social and economic problem. Thousands have lost their life, and millions have lost their homes and livelihood. Unfortunately, most of these repercussions are because of our toxic actions and behavior accumulating over the years. As I speak here, the very same Nilgiri district is under the grip of a massive flood-like situation. That is why our chief guest, district collector, is unable to reach. For the past 1 week, there's a total power cutoff, which is affecting the cutoff of electricity communication linkage. Thousands of people in our nearby state in Kerala are going through a very severe floods and landslides within a year of last devastating floods. It's of utmost importance that we meet here today and speak about the urgency of climate crisis and understand what we must do in this reality and then actually do. Now I invite Professor Sk Satish, Distinguished Scientist of Divesha Center for Climate Change, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, for the presidential address. Thank you.
Good morning to all of you. I'm here as a substitute for the chief guest who was supposed to be here. I'll just say a few words about why there should be a program on climate change and the environment. The main reason is in our school curriculum in India, I think there's not sufficient coverage of the issues related to climate and environment. As a matter of fact, most of us, we take the climate and environment for granted. We assume that the sun will rise in the morning and the rain will come at the appropriate time. So we start worrying about climate and environment only when things go wrong, when there's a flood, when there's a drought, or when there's a water shortage. So we believe that it's important to tell children at a very young age that you cannot take your climate and environment for granted. I'll give one unusual example, which might surprise many of you. All of you know that Earth's atmosphere contains 21% oxygen. Okay? We take it for granted. Most people don't know that Earth's original atmosphere contained no oxygen. Oxygen is not a natural part of the atmosphere. It was created by life. Around 1 billion years ago, certain bacteria learned how to convert carbon dioxide to oxygen. Without those billions of bacteria, you and I won't exist. So life, which depends on oxygen, came after some bacteria figured out how to convert carbon dioxide, which was the dominant gas in the Earth's atmosphere for billions of years. Now today, we don't worry about it. In the last 100 years, we've been burning coal, oil, and gas merrily, and all these consume oxygen. Okay? And so oxygen should go down. It has gone down slightly, not large. But in the meantime, our friends, the bacteria, they are producing the oxygen to make up for whatever oxygen we are consuming. Now, it's important that these issues should be taught as a part of your regular science curriculum, chemistry, physics, and maths, so that you appreciate the fact that you cannot take anything for granted. Now, over a short period of life that most of us spend in this planet, this climate which is changing you may not notice it unless some unusual events occur. As a matter of fact, for a long time, most human beings thought climate is invariant, is constant, and God-given. Okay? Only after the scientists began to study the past climate, I'm talking about the climate of the past, let's say, 20,000 years, then they realized that 20,000 years ago we had a huge ice age where large parts of the planet were covered with thick layers of ice. And we came out of the ice age quite dramatically. And the modern agriculture, which is being practiced today, was not possible during the last ice age. During the last ice age, there were no farmers. There were only hunter-gatherers who lived in caves and managed somehow. It's only at the end of the last ice age, when the temperature became warmer, agriculture became manageable and affordable. So the last 10,000 years, we enjoyed a reasonably, what you might call, stable climate, and human population has grown rapidly. But now, climate is showing large changes, and the complexity of this is that part of the change is natural, part is due to human beings. Now, there are many eminent scientists who had warned us a long time back about this, but we didn't listen to them. One example is John Fourier, a French scientist who was a major person who discovered heat conduction. He argued that the burning of coal as a part of the Industrial Revolution would lead to warming of the earth. This is about almost 300 years ago. People didn't believe him. Then about 100 years later, the famous Swedish chemist Arrhenius also argued that the way we are using coal in a big way will cause problems. Now, the reason why people are difficulty believing it is because you must remember that in today's world, carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere is very small. It's counted in parts per million. Okay? So for most people, it is difficult to believe that something which is in parts per million can affect our life. Okay? I can understand if nitrogen and oxygen, which are the major constituent, them affecting our life. But carbon dioxide looks too small to believe. And not only that, carbon dioxide is something we cannot see, it's invisible. It is not toxic. If there is CO2 in this room, it's not going to affect me that much. So people have difficulty believe that non-toxic, non-flammable gas like CO2, carbon dioxide, would somehow affect our climate. Now, only in the 20th century, after the advent of better understanding of what controls Earth's climate, that we are realizing that the climate now is changing, both due to natural causes and also human-induced causes. Now, about natural causes, of course, you can do nothing. We have to accept it. There are cyclic changes in weather, like we had ice age, which was natural. We have to accept those changes, and the only good thing is that those changes are slow. The natural changes that occur on Earth, like the ice age and various other cycles, they occur on a scale of 100,000, 10,000 years, slow changes. So most of the time, human beings have time to adapt to these changes, and they have adapted. Okay? But now what you're finding in the last 50 years is climate is changing at a rate much faster than we ever witnessed in the past. The temperature change of 1 degree, the global mean temperature in the last 100 years, was the fastest ever seen in the last 10,000 years. It's about 10 times faster than what happened in the last ice age. And the increase in carbon dioxide, which is a major cause of concern today, is now happening 100 times faster than what occurred in the past. So these are the new information which has come in, and it is not known to many people. And we believe that it's important for students studying in school to become aware of it. This is because when we go to, I have talked to many politicians, members of parliament, bureaucrats, industry leaders about climate change over the last 32 years. And we realized that they are not too bothered by it. Because when we tell them these things will affect Earth over the next 30, 40, 50 years, they don't take it too seriously. So we thought it's important to address the younger people, because the people who will be most affected by the climate change induced by human action will be people below the age of 20. Okay? By the time serious damage to Earth occurs, I won't be around. So that's why most politicians don't take this seriously, because they are an age group where they think, well, 20 years from now, I don't worry what will happen. So more and more now, people are addressing young people, because they are the ones most going to be impacted by climate change, and we have a hope that they will do something about it. I don't know how many of you are aware, last year there was a major, unusual event in which a schoolgirl from Sweden called Greta Thunberg led a revolt. And actually, she is conducting a strike in Europe because she is very concerned that the leaders in Europe are talking a lot but are doing nothing on the ground to control climate change. And she realizes that these old people won't do much because they're not going to be affected that much. She realized that there's the young people who have to now take the leadership role and force the older people to act. And I'll say a few words about this in my talk. So to me, this is the reason why we want to talk to you about climate change, because it is something which is going to have a huge impact on your life, and about which our leaders will take action, provided you convince them to take action. You have to be an activist here. You cannot assume that somebody will do it. You are a part of this life on Earth, and you have to learn how to tell people that the way things were done over the last 100 years is not the way we should be doing the next 100 years. Now, I must tell you that in the last 100 years, people discovered coal, oil, and gas, and that resulted in reduction of poverty, improvement of standard life. They didn't understand the impact of that. Okay? They are partly ignorant, so they didn't know it. Today, we know that the gain we had in using coal, oil, and gas has its negative side effects, which we are facing now. So we have to transition from an economy based on coal, oil, and gas to an economy based on solar, wind, and hydro. And that transition will take about 50 years. Okay? It will happen in your lifetime. And you have to be part of this change. And you have to ensure the change takes place. Because you must remember that in any society, change is hard. Because of certain system is put in place, there's a lot of inertia in the system. People think, why change it? Is it really necessary to change it? After all, we have managed so far and so on. So it requires a lot of activism, a lot of action on the part of young people to convince that what was done in the past is not the way to do it in the future, and there is a need for a major change in outlook. And so we are hoping that programs such as these will convince young people, especially those in schools and colleges, so that when they embark on the career, they don't assume that whatever was done in the past is the way to continue. They look for new ways and more efficient and less polluting ways to promote development in our society. So with this, I wish you all enjoy the program. The program consists of lecture and a quiz, and we hope there will be a good interaction with us in this meeting, and after this event, I hope you will continue to show some interest in the issue of climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I request Professor Satish, Chairman, the Vecha Center for Climate Change, to speak a few words in comment.
Good morning to all. You may be aware that the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, or UNFCCC, entered into force on 21st March 1994. On 21st March 2019, UNFCCC celebrated its 25th anniversary. The Executive Secretary of the UNFCCC stated that climate action is more urgent than ever. And faculty and the staff at the Devecha Center for Climate Change are actively involved in studies involving many aspects of climate change. The center was established in 2009 with a financial contribution from Arjun and Diana Devecha Trust and the Grantham Foundation for the Protection of the Environment. The center is one among the 3 major institutes funded by the Grantham Foundation, and the other 2 are part of the Imperial College London and the London School of Economics. Since its inception, the center received generous support from various ministries and departments of the Government of India, for example, Ministry of Earth Science, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Space, Ministry of Human Resource Development, and Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. In addition to research, we also conduct training programs and workshops to create awareness among young researchers about climate change. We also interact with higher secondary school students to make them aware of the consequences of climate change. This is one example of such program. The faculty at the center frequently interact with various ministries and departments of the Government of India to help them in developing national and international policies related to climate change. As of now, our staff strength is around 125, including distinguished scientists, professors, project scientists, postdoctoral fellows, PhD students, and project staff. You may have read in newspapers that last year, the International Council for Science and International Social Science Council got merged to form a single entity, International Science Council. And the main agenda behind this move was to make sure that any research or any science we do should have an impact on the society. Following this concept, the Devecha Center hosts Future Earth South Asia Regional Office. Future Earth is an international science policy program supported by various United Nations organizations and agencies. It's important to note that during the 70th session of the United Nations General Assembly, the United Nations adopted Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs, which are the main goals of the Future Earth South Asia Regional Office at the center. I will say more about it in my lecture. In addition to Future Earth, the center also hosts 2 major international project offices. One is Monsoon Asia Integrated Research for Sustainability or MIRES, which is a regional consortium for the study of earth system processes in the Asian monsoon region. Professor J. Srinivasan is the director of that program. And another one is Sustainable Water Future Program. The main objective is to initiate active dialogue between water scientists and policymakers. It is mainly to study the water-related issues. One example of our research programs with a strong societal component is on the Himalayan glaciers. These researchers have shown that Himalayan glaciers have been losing mass at an increasing rate over the past few decades. You know that Himalayas contain the largest store of water outside the polar ice caps and feed several Asian rivers. More than 1 billion people in the river basins depend on the Himalayan glaciers for their water supply, and rapid melting of Himalayan glaciers will first increase the volume of water in rivers and causing widespread flooding, and there can be a water scarcity in the future. And this raises serious questions about the water security for millions of people living in the Indo-Gangetic basin. Our research teams also have reported that glaciers melting can lead to the formation of glacial lakes, which can cause outburst floods upon failure of the dam, catastrophic to human life and infrastructure downstream. And you may recall the widespread flash floods and landslides in Uttarakhand during June 2013. Other examples are air quality and water quality on health, water, energy, food nexus, and so on. So in this context, this awareness program on climate change and the environment is extremely important, especially for young students like you. I wish you all a very fruitful session again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Arjun De Vecchi, an alumnus of our school, is the founder director of the De Vecchi Center for Climate Change. He is currently the chairman of a Boston-based asset management firm. Professor Sk Satish will now speak about Mr. Arjun De Vecchi.
Yeah, this is Arjun De Vecchi. He was a former student of this school. 1971 batch, Aravalli House. When I informed him about this training program, he was extremely happy, and he said that he wanted to send a small video, but due to his extremely busy schedule, he could not send the video. So I will give a brief introduction about him. Mr. Arjun De Vecchi is the chairman of the governing board of GMO, that is Grantham, Mayo, Van, Otterloo and Company, Boston, with the headquarters in Boston. Mr. Arjun De Vecchi obtained B.Tech in Aeronautical Engineering from IIT Bombay in 1979 and MBA in Finance from Cornell University in 1981. In 1993, he joined GMO to start a fund that invested in equities in emerging markets. Mr. De Vecchi has managed GMO following an unusual computer-driven process, and his approach was highly successful. He is managing approximately 125 billion US dollars in assets as on now, and 1 billion is about 7,000 crores Indian rupees. The Vecchi Center for Climate Change was established in 2009 at IAC with a generous financial contribution from Mr. Arjun De Vecchi through Arjun and Diana De Vecchi Trust and the Grantham Foundation for the Protection of the Environment. And he is also a member of our De Vecchi Center governing board. He asked me to convey his regards to all of you, and he wish you all the best. Thank you.
May I request Professor V.S. Jayakumar to take over the felicitations and conclude the session with the vote of thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Respected Headmaster of the school, Sri M. Prabhakaran, distinguished Professor Sri J. Srinivasan, Professor Sk Satish, Chairman of the De Vecchi Center for Climate Change and Professor, Center for Atmospheric and Oceanic Sciences, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, distinguished guests, heads of institutions, teachers, and my dear students. Now, today is a memorable day in the history of this prestigious institution when the premier science institute of India, the Indian Institute of Science, is joining hands with the Lawrence School, Lovedale, to conduct a program on climate change to create awareness about the seriousness of protecting our climate and environment. And I hope this is marking a new beginning and setting a new model for the whole nation when leading R&D organization in science and technology in India is coming to a brilliant school of India with 160 years of heritage and prestige, with a white campus filled with natural beauty. And this should be a model for the whole country to be inspired for great heights in science and technology. We have a brilliant audience of students here. I hope all of you will imbibe the message from this event to be taken throughout your life and career to excel in whatever manner, whatever way, whatever field you are working. Now, Professor Satish and Professor J. Srinivasan, they are examples of typical science achievers. They were ordinary students like you. When they were students, they had a great dream in their mind, how science can do for the society. And they were working hard with dedication, and they have used their intelligence, their learning, everything to take their career and also to provide valuable information for science, climate science, and related technologies for the country and the world. So I hope that this program will be a model for a greater level of science excellence initiatives from all the schools who are participating here, so that Nilgiris in the coming days will be a model for the whole nation as the best educational hub in the country, particularly for science education. You have heard about Arjun De Vecchi. You must have noted he had, after his Lawrence School studies, he had gone to IIT Bombay, and then he went to management studies. Wherever we went, wherever he studied, he did his best, and now he is in the top position in a business area. So that should be the message. So during this program, when you are sitting in the program, try to be focused onto what is being delivered here, what is being taught. Senior professors are giving lectures, so you should be able to understand with a focused attention. You should try to recollect what each professors have mentioned, and that should be working in your mind so that you can come up with novel, new ideas. Now, before going on to my formal duty of proposing a vote of thanks, let me take a few minutes to felicitate the great minds behind this program, which had made this program a reality, and for the successful conduct of this program. Now, firstly, it is the Lawrence School that deserves the full credit for this. You can be proud of our dynamic and brilliant headmaster, Sri K. Prabhakaran. When Talentspire, about 6 months back, suggested about such a program, he was so enthusiastic, passionate to have this program conducted in the best way possible. And I sincerely congratulate the Lawrence School, the headmaster, the Board of Governance, the Bursar, the entire Lawrence School family, including all the teachers, all the faculty members, the entire team working as a family, which has made this program a great event. Now, the De Vecchi Center for Climate Change, you will be going to see more about the De Vecchi Center in the next few minutes, is an important organization that is coordinating all the climate-related studies in India, which is a highly reputed institution internationally also. So these professors who are sitting here, they are actually world-class leaders with reputation worldwide, and we are proud that they come from India. Their personal profile, you can get from the internet also. Some things probably we'll be able to mention. And the Center for Atmospheric and Oceanic Sciences is the Department of Indian Institute of Science that is hosting this De Vecchi Center. And Indian Institute of Science itself, all of you know, is the prestigious institution. So the support of Indian Institute of Science, CAOS, and De Vecchi Center has made this program a reality. I sincerely thank the De Vecchi Center for having agreed to conduct such a program here. Now, Talentspire is an academic initiative. We are also proud to be part of this initiative to have made this program a reality, coordinating all these things. And in the afternoon, 1:30 to 2, you will have a brief session on what is Talentspire vision and mission to inspire excellence in science with such programs and the follow-up actions. Now, these are all programs that give you a spark in science, and then it is our own responsibility to take it forward. And I hope all of you will listen to that and then try to move ahead properly with suitable programs. Quality of education is the tool that can transform the future of India through our children and youth. Approximately half of India's 1.2 billion population are under the age of 26. By 2020, India is forecast to be the youngest country in the world with a median age of 29. To reap the benefits of this demographic advantage, we have to focus on excellence in science, education, innovation, and creative research. Such a focus can make India a knowledge superpower with world-class brain power in science, technology, engineering, academics, agriculture, health, and industry sectors. Today, we are exploring the advances of science of climate change and the environment. I request all the students to focus on these lectures, have focused attention onto these lectures. Maybe 45 minutes lectures will be there. Please ensure that you are following all the points. Some of the things you may not perhaps follow everything, but still try to understand everything. You are free to ask any doubt with these professors, and in the quiz program, they will be asking questions from what has been delivered here. So catch hold of all the points, make them work in your minds properly so that you will be inspired to learn more, and in the future, you all will be contributors for this great field of climate science and also science and technology at large. As Einstein said to a group of children, quote, "Bear in mind that the wonderful things you learn in your schools is the work of many generations. All this is put into your hands as your inheritance in order that you may receive it, honor it, add to it, and one day faithfully hand it over to your children." I hope you will use this opportunity, this wonderful program, to be inspired to that sort of an excellence as role models for the generation, the country, and for the world. Now let me pass on to my pleasant duty of vote of thanks. I consider it a privilege to stand before you to propose the vote of thanks to all the dignitaries on behalf of the Lawrence School, the DVHS Center, and the Talent Spire, and all on behalf of all those who are assembled here. I would like to thank Professor J. Srinivasan, who had inaugurated the program and presided over this function, and his passionate efforts for promoting awareness on climate change and related things. Through his words, you might have listened, you might have heard how passionate he is. It is the responsibility of the younger generation. The older people may not be so cautious, so concerned about the changes that are going to happen in the next 50 years. But it is your responsibility to keep aware, to be aware of those things and take it over to the society, to the government level, and to the community, and to the world, so that we want to protect the world, so that we have to survive and we have to keep it for the next generation. Professor Srinivasan, we all thank you very much for having spent so much time, for traveling over from Bangalore and then spending the day with the children. Thank you, sir. Professor Sk Satish is a young scientist of international repute. If I brief his profile, I think it will take more than 10 or 15 minutes. His scientific achievements, you might have noticed he's a very simple person. He's maybe in his 40s. I know that he is one of the youngest professors who became the full professor at the age of 40. And his career probably it may be available in the internet, in his profile in the Institute of Science. Now, he was the winner of the SS Bhatnagar Award. Then let me mention about few recent awards. American Geophysical Union is the world's top organization honoring people who are providing responsible contributions for climate-related studies. AGU has awarded him a gold medal in 2018. And last year, in 2018, he was awarded the Infosys Prize for the best physical science professional. And that was having a price costing about $1 lakh US, about 70 lakh rupees. Now, even last week, he was the winner of 2 awards, one from Ministry of Earth Science Studies, Science Excellence, National Science Excellence Award, awarded by the Honorable Union Minister for Earth Science Studies, and another award that is by Modi Foundation Award presented by the Vice President of India. That was day before yesterday at the Vigyan Bhavan, New Delhi. He is actually directly coming from there. So his reputation is that high. He is also the chief editor of the Current Science Journal of the Indian Academy of Science. Busy with so many activities, but in spite of all those schedules, he has agreed to come here and I sincerely thank you, Dr. Satish, for having come here and spent your valuable time with these children. To the children, I request all of you to closely interact with him. He is a simple person. You can share all your thoughts with him. Keep him as a role model and try to have career in science to those levels. Science can take you to any height. Now, I sincerely thank Professor Shri Prabhakaran, headmaster of the school. He has taken charge of the school last year, and I have seen how dynamically he is inspiring people, and I am sure that this is going to be a very big stepping stone for taking the school to a much higher level for the next generation. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful cooperation and your teamwork. It's actually inspiring to come to the school and enjoy your hospitality and the way your children and your team members are working properly. And it is a team leadership. I sincerely thank you and congratulate you for all your achievements. Now, other school heads are here. Teachers from other institutions, teachers from Lawrence School, and all staff members are here. I sincerely thank all of them. Mr. Matthew John, the Chief Executive of Talentspire, he's a driving force behind all the activities of Talentspire. It's actually coming up as a very big national initiative for promoting science excellence jointly with schools, helping the schools to reach excellence. So he is also very passionate. He was working as an IT professional with high remunerations and all that. He has come out of that with a vision for serving the Indian education community, particularly for science education. So I thank you, Sir Matthew John. And all the other team members from Indian Institute of Science and Talentspire, also I thank you. And the media person are also here. I thank you all. And finally, I thank all of you who have assembled here, and I request all of you to make use of this program fruitfully so that this will be an enjoyable experience. Please be focused onto the lectures, raise your doubts, and make this a very live and interactive session. Thank you once again. Thank you very much.